All right.
Recording in progress.
That's right. We're recording. We be doing it. All right. So thank you everyone for joining us for episode 3. I say it that way because I'm literally recording like 6 of these all in one day. This is episode 3 of Talk It Out with Tahsha and Renee. And I own Sisterhood of Sacred Fire. I keep saying own. I do and I don't. I'm the founder of it. But our Sacred Rage work is done with me and Jacquelynne Faith, who is absolutely incredible and amazing, and my best friend, and I love her. And so we do offer programs. We offer one-on-one sessions. If you're watching this currently in December, we have a 4-week program that's starting January 9th. So get with me if you're interested in releasing some Sacred Rage and learning the tools and tricks and tips to make that work for you instead of against you. We also offer our private sessions. That's also an option. And you can also work with me on a monthly basis or a weekly basis. So you can also visit my website, which is sisterhoodofsacredfire.com, or on Instagram. We are under sisterhood _ sacred fire. I can write it out and I can't ever say it correctly. So please visit us. We'd love to have you over there. All right, so my lovely, lovely friend here, Miss Skye Wellington. Am I saying that right?
Yes,
okay.
You are.
Fantastic. I'm going to set my little timer here. Not that we have to keep to that exactly, but I just want to keep it in the flow, so to speak. If I can get to the timer, that'd be fantastic. Hi, where are you? There you are. All right, so here we go. Say what's on your mind, babe. Let's get to it.
So I have been going through some really beautiful life changes right now. Very extreme. So, so some changes came along with my job, and I won't go too far into detail about it, but just some not nice things happened, right? And I've been very lucky to I have a sisterhood that I work with, and one of them is an incredible psychic, and she gave me a reading. And part of that reading was about doing a sacred rage ceremony. And there were 3 stages in the reading. So the first being the sacred rage ceremony. So I actually did something for myself. And I'm like, I know. It's so interesting too, because growing up and being a sweet little girl, being taught to be nice and quiet and kind of like internalize that anger and stuff, and remembering all those times in my life where I had anger and I like shut that anger down. And now that I'm a grown woman, I really want to make sure that I honor myself and my anger and use it in a good way, right? So I did a ceremony on the beach. I'm in Massachusetts, so we've got the Atlantic Ocean not far. And what I had done was, it was directed towards 3 men. And so I wrote each of their names down on a piece of paper, and I just made this up in my head. I was like, okay, I'm going to scream. And
that's intuitive. That's an intuitive moment. Yep.
Right. And I went to a really special beach, a beach that I actually hadn't been to. The last time I was at that beach was after escaping one of those men's house. After I was locked in his house overnight, and some really awful things happened to me. So the other one was work related. The other one was marriage related, because I'm going through a divorce right now. And I wrote those 3 names down. I dug holes in the sand, so the water was coming up. I had 3 holes in the sand, and I found rocks on the beach that felt special to me for whatever reason. And I put the name in each hole, and then I put the rock on top of each name. And I got down on my hands and knees, and I fucking screamed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say the ex-husband scream was like, that was the longest one out of those three
Interesting.
screams. So after I did that, I like let it out until like I was done. Right. So I buried the rocks with sand. I punched the sand. I stomped on the sand. And then I burned sage, this really special sage that came from a special place that my mom gave to me. And the sage, as it was burning in the cup, it started to spiral, and it was like a freaking tornado was coming out of the cup. It was amazing. And
Incredible.
So I just stood there, and I let the tide come in, and I watched the tide as it came up, and it eventually washed over where I had buried those stones. So definitely important to let go of that anger, and then also harness that power of the anger. And I feel like since I've done that, 3 really big opportunities have dropped for me.
Why am I not surprised?
This is amazing, right?
Yeah.
But
it frees up space to receive.
Right. It's crazy. And one of those things landed today, and it's like, and I can't go into detail about it because it's scary. It's scary, and it's got stuff to do with potential litigation and that sort of thing. But it's like, it's magic. It's absolute magic. So now that I've done this and I've made up my own ceremony and everything, I just want to make sure that I'm being responsible to myself as things come up that make me angry, right?
Yeah.
Because I know that I can recognize old patterns and that sort of thing, and say, okay, I know what's happening, I got this, that sort of thing. But at the same time, this whole practice with sacred rage is so foreign to me. This is brand new, beginner's mind, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So wow. First of all, absolutely epic. That's just I'm putting that in my toolbox to, suggest to people of ways to release some of their anger. That's fucking fantastic. So just beautiful work. Have you gotten angry since then?
Yes.
And what has been your experience? Is it different than before? Is it like, what's the relationship now to your anger since doing that?
It feels liberating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas before, let's go backwards. Let's put yourself in that situation where you got angry, and would you have reacted differently before you did the sacred rage release?
Of course. Before it was that feeling of disempowerment and collapsing, right?
Right. And what is it now?
It's an empowered feeling.
Okay. So what I would say has happened is you have alchemized your anger.
Right.
So what that means in our speak, so to speak, is that you change something in your cells, literally. So now when something comes up that makes you angry, you're going to just have a different view and perspective on it. And you're going to be able to hold space because you've made space. You made space by doing this. So you're going to be able to hold space for the strong emotions that it brings up in you. And you'll be able to think before you do something.
Right.
You'll be able to, which is what you've already proven to yourself. Now it's a space of like, oh, my anger doesn't control me. My trauma response doesn't fucking control me anymore. I don't have a trauma response to things. You're still going to feel angry. You're still going to feel some of that shock maybe in some things that happen. Let's just hypothetically, is the gentleman who, or even your ex-husband, whoever is, makes you feel activated, are those people still alive?
Yes.
Okay. So let's just for a moment say that you see the gentleman, happen to just see him somehow, walking down the street towards you, the man that locked you in a house. Holy shit, by the way, I'm so fucking sorry that happened to you. Even in that moment, if you can walk yourself through that, you're still going to feel probably this holy fuck, because you're normal. That's natural. Fuck, I would feel that way seeing somebody that did that to you. I would feel shock and holy shitness, right? But there's now this space for you to be able to think before you freeze up, or before you fawn, or before you fight or flight, or whatever it is you normally do in that space. Again, your trauma response will not control you anymore. Your body's still going to react in a way. You're possibly going to sweat, and your heart's going to beat, and your mind's going to be in it. It's going to be awake, and it's going to be alert. And sometimes that being awake and alert means being able to say, I can't think straight right now. I can't handle this right now. I need space right now. It's being able to use your voice and say what it is that you need in the moments that are happening of these other times that would have made you freeze up.
Right.
So to answer your question, you're doing it. You've already proven to yourself that it's going to be different. Yes, there's still going to be the experience again of something maybe bigger coming up that makes you just go, but you will still be able to work through that. You'll still be able to see it differently. Being the expert in this field, doing this for 2 years, I still get fucking pissed. I still scream. I still fucking beat up my bed. I still pick up a pillow and beat the shit out of things. Like, I still do those things. It's not about not feeling it. It's about having a relationship with it. It's about allowing it to come up and come out. It's about sitting in it. It's about realizing it's no different than happiness and joy and fucking whatever. It's an emotion, and it's meant to move through us and not get stuck in us. And you gave it a voice. And those are the things that, yes, you may still find yourself where you're like, this is big. This is bigger stuff coming up, and I don't want to do it by myself. I feel like I want to be supported. You may come and find me and Jacquelynne at that point and get yourself into one of our programs and be held in that space with other women, so you can feel like you're being held in that, because it's not just a one night thing. You actually need some actual time to work through some things. That may happen. It may not fucking happen. You may start holding your own fucking sacred rage shit and fucking helping other women through it. Like, we do always need more women doing that stuff. So you may do both. I think it's really about not trying to find the answer to it, but more about allowing yourself to react however it is that you're going to react when it comes up, and giving yourself space to do that. I think it's when we try to control it and try to say it needs to be this way or look this way, that our emotions let us know that we don't have control over them in that way. Yeah. That's fucking huge. It's so big.
Yeah. So it's just kind of dealing with it as it comes, but then also having that trust and that power, and like, I got this. Right.
Yeah. And really, again, when you've alchemized your anger, it's now working as courage and bravery to not stay small and be able to move through those things. It gives you this ability to feel the fear and do it anyways. It gives you the ability to, again, speak up instead of stay small and repressed and go further in. It'll allow you to say it. Even again, if it's just saying, that made me uncomfortable. I don't like that. I don't like how I'm feeling, and I need some space to figure out how I'm feeling right now. Even if it's just saying that, and being able to come back to the situation and say, okay, I'm ready to talk about that now, whatever that is. Or in the moment being like, I don't really appreciate what you just said to me. That like really hurt my feelings. That really pissed me off. That's not cool with me. Can we talk about that? And we need to talk about that. I need to talk about that. So it's literally learning how to just communicate it to yourself in the moment, to somebody else. It's really all about, that's really what it is. And when you alchemize it, like I said, it goes to work for you. So before it's alchemized, and you will understand this now that you have gone through that process in some aspects, it's working as fake safety. So it's working to like, anger is a secondary emotion, right? So it's all the shit that's underneath it. So that's really what we're afraid of. the anger is intense, and it's all the things. And some people are afraid, oh God, if I get angry, am I going to be angry forever? Or is it going to overtake? Is it going to burn up everything? I'm not going to be able to control it. What they're really afraid of is the emotions beneath it. So now it goes to work for you in the sense of like pushing you, giving courage and reminding you that you're strong enough to deal with the emotions when they come up. You're strong enough to do that. We're not going to stay silent, stay in fear, and stay in our trauma response. Really, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to live. We're going to figure it out together. And it becomes like that voice that you wish you would have had as like a child. It becomes your parent voice of like, you got this. I know you're scared. I know this sucks. I know it's, and in the middle of something that's activated you, that voice will kick in. It'll say, okay, I got this. This fucking sucks. I don't like the way this feels. Holy shit. Like I'm going to pass out right now because I'm so whatever, but I'm going to be okay. I'm going to fucking figure it out. Like it becomes that thing that you wish you had. That's why this is so powerful. And when it's not worked through, then it's doing the thing to keep you from feeling any of that. That's why people blow up. That's why they do toxic positivity and can't tap into it, because that anger is keeping them safe in the opposite direction. It's like inverted. So when you have the courage to let it all out, now it turns it right side up where it's supposed to be.
Right. And like, I'm not excited to have an experience to get me angry or anything like that.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen next now that I've done that? And, you know, I have situations going on in my life as an entrepreneur right now that kind of make me angry, and I'm dealing with it, you know?
Yeah.
But
that's all you can do. Whereas before, maybe you wouldn't have dealt with it. Maybe you would have known, maybe you would have repressed, maybe you would have sexed it out, whatever the fuck it is, a TV, fucking whatever it is that you choose to do to have to not feel that. You know, blamed it on somebody else. You got on Facebook and caused fucking issues, whatever the fuck it is that we all do, you know, to not feel. And now it's like, no, now I fucking deal with it. Now I clear it. Now I look at it. Now I see what my responsibility in it. And sometimes it's literally just being like, okay, there's not really anything to do except for just accept it. Have non-attachment to outcome around it. Have non-attachment to suffering around it. And just fucking let it exist and let it be, so that it can move. It's get the fuck out as soon as possible. Like I said, again, I'm being an expert in this field. I still don't like to get angry. I like to be sarcastic and be kind of, you know, snotty and bratty. That's kind of fun for me. You know, but I don't like to full on scream my face off and get pissed. Like I don't like doing that either.
Right. And it physically hurts.
It does.
Yeah.
It fucking does hurt. And it's you're almost angry for being angry, because it's just this, you know, nobody wants to fucking feel that.
Right.
You just don't. But now it's like work. Now you see it as just a thing to process and move through, instead of like it making decisions about your life, which is, here we go again. This is never going to end. How come this always happens to me? Why does this keep happening? I'm never going to get this, never going to get that. People are always going to treat me this way. You don't do that. It's like the victim mode isn't there anymore. It's like, wow, this really sucks. Why does this keep happening to me? That fucking sucks. I get to feel that. And I know why it's happening to me.
Now it's like,
somewhere along the line. What was that?
Now it's like, oh no, you didn't.
Yeah.
I've been there before.
Yes. And taking responsibility for the fact that a lot of times things are not a lot. I would say all the things that are happening in our lives, especially if they're repeating, they're still around because we haven't had a different response to them. And because on some level we want it that way. On some level we want to suffer this way. On some level we want it to be this way. On some level we don't want to succeed. On some level we don't want the money. On some level it's too much, too expansive, too blah. So we keep ourselves in shitty things that we can complain about and feel crap, because then everybody else gets to have all the fucking responsibility and we don't have to take care of any of it. It's all your fault. So But if you keep wanting to expand, life's going to keep showing up to try to expand you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you have to have a different response. And a lot of times that last response is a feeling of trust. I'm in a space right now, that for sure right now. Like there's things, some repeated things have come up money wise for me that I'm like, what am I not getting here? And it's that feeling of ultimate trust that I haven't had. And so I'm at that space too, where I have to, like, the anger starts to come up and I'm like, okay, I get to be pissed about that. Of course I'm human and I have to have a different reaction to it. What's the reaction I really haven't had? I say that I've trusted in the past, but have I really? It's been more like, okay, fine, I'll trust. It's still been anger behind it, right? And now it's trust with neutrality. Those things are coming up. I ask myself, do I really need to get angry about this? Or do I really need to be sad about this? Or I need to release it somewhere else? Not really. Okay, let's just be neutral about it. Let's just breathe through it. Let that feeling of fear come up, and we're just going to not have any attachment to it. And that will shift things very quickly. But it's kind of the same thing with anger in some aspects. You're not ever going to have a neutral response. Although Jacquelynne does teach in the program that anger is a neutral emotion, which a lot of people can't, or have a hard time understanding, because you're like, nah, it's like, how is it neutral? Because it's meant to create and it can destroy. So it's like this neutral thing. Once it's in balance, it's neutral. It's really quite beautiful way to look at things. So if you can look at it that way, when it comes up, it's like, oh, this is just part of who I am.
Yeah. And it's totally healthy, right? It's healthy to be happy.
It's healthy not to look at it. It's healthy not to feel it. So yes, it's a must. It literally, I say it a lot, one of the main causes for stomach cancer is fucking anger. Your anger stored in your liver, people. Do you know what that means? You know what your liver does? Your liver is your full filtration system for your whole body. So if you aren't letting your anger out and expressing that, you're literally, everything's being filtered through anger. Energy doesn't disappear. It becomes something else, and it will find a way to become its most largest form of expression. So if you're holding on to anger and you are already sick with, I don't know, an autoimmune disease, here's one. If you're sick with arthritis is another one. Any type of digestion, cancer, we already talked about that one.
I have some for you.
Yeah.
So when I was in my marriage, which it was abusive, and I was shutting down that part of myself that, I compartmentalize things, right? I was always disassociated. Towards the end of that relationship, I almost went completely deaf for a month.
Wow.
Yep. And also I got shingles, and I'm pretty young, right?
Yeah, that's an older person's like
right.
60s usually then up. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my body at that point, like saying there's something seriously wrong that you are not like
paying attention to. Yes, your body has its own fucking mission on this earth, you guys. It has its own thing going on. So if you don't listen to it, it cannot speak to you in words. It speaks to you in feelings and actions and fucking illness and health, right? So it's, you really, if you don't, again, it's going to transmute. It's going to find a way. So through illness, it's going to try to come out. It's got to come out. So yeah, do the work.
I really appreciate this, and I appreciate your affirmation that I did okay with my sacred rage ceremony that I just made up while I was screaming a full.
Yes, keep that shit up, and now you'll be able to, walk your clients through something similar. I mean, you may And tell people, Skye, what it is that you do and how people can reach you before we go.
I own a vintage marketplace
Mm.
and I do energetics with vintage because let's just be honest, vintage a lot of the time is
a lot of shit.
Is dead people stuff.
Agreed. I don't ever see orbs in person. I've never seen one. And I literally just saw an orb when you said that.
Oh, I get orbs around me all the time. My shop has orbs flying around everywhere. We have a random wooden stocking that hangs from the ceiling. And when it's busy in my store, it's swinging like a pendulum, like crazy.
Fuck, I just got chilled. That's crazy.
Yeah. So anyways, I mentor vintage entrepreneurs. And so far I have 8 of them under my belt who have gone on to open their own big brick and mortar businesses. And I also support survivors of domestic violence.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So part of my business accepts vintage donations, and proceeds from those sales goes into a program that helps survivors redecorate their home, especially while they're in because when you get out of an abusive relationship, when you get out of an abusive relationship, it can be hard to be surrounded by that same environment, right? Things that those people had touched, couches and stuff that they sit on and everything like that. So I come in and I help them reclaim their space and redecorate and create a space for them to start their healing process.
Just when I think I've heard it all of what everybody's doing, your ass comes along. Like, what the fuck? Epic work you're doing, Skye.
Right. And my life got turned upside down. So now I can focus even more so on it, because before I was so busy with my crazy corporate full-time job. And now it's just like, look at this guy.
There's
look
space.
at that.
Now there's space. Fuck me. So amazing. How do people get in touch with you?
Reach me on Facebook. That's the best way, Skye Wellington. And then also my Facebook page for my business. It's called Inno Vintage Place.
So
and I have a INNOVINTAGE place.
Okay.
So that's the marketplace. And then I also have a group for vintage entrepreneurs, and anybody can join, and that's called the Vintage CEO.
Okay. Fan-fucking-tastic. My God, I loved having you on here. Your energy is just epic. I love you. I love you. I love you. Is there anything else that you want to say?
Well, it's been so good to be here and be vulnerable with you. My legs have been shaking down to my feet, and you can't see it, but they're like shaking, and it's like, so anyways, I'm gonna do a dance after I sign off here and probably go outside and cool off. It's really cold in Massachusetts right now. So anyway, the work that you're doing is absolutely incredible. I love following you, and this has been such a treat. Thank you so much.
I love you, girl. Thank you so much for all of that. We'll see you on Facebook land.
All right. Bye.
Okay, hold on one second.
Okay.